Hi everyone, and welcome to the Full Moon broadcast. Thank you so much for joining me, and what we're going to be talking about this evening is this full moon energy that's going on. So how are you feeling out there? Maybe a little bit, in a frenzy, or just feeling like your nerves are a bit on edge? Well, I'm going to give you some tips to assist you in navigating this energy. Before we talk about the full moon, however, I thought I would talk a little bit about Mercury being in retrograde, because we're hearing that phrase thrown around right now. Mercury goes into retrograde three or four times a year. And beginning April 9th, 10th, so just kind of starting to May 3rd, 4th, Mercury went in retrograde. Now, if you think about Mercury going retrograde, defining it exactly, what it seems is that the planet is moving backwards, but that is not the case. What it is that Mercury appears to be moving backwards if you're observing it from the Earth, because in its orbits around the Sun, Mercury is moving slower now. So it appears to be going backwards. So what does that mean for us? Well, when Mercury goes in retrograde, because that's the planet that's in charge of our communication, in charge of all of the appliances in our house, all of our smartphones, all of our electronics, when it's direct, the theory is everything goes relatively smoothly. But when it's in retrograde, what happens is that we start having snafus in communication with all of these devices that we use and we've come to rely on. So people will often groan when they hear Mercury is in retrograde. But what I am going to invite you to do is not hide under your bed, because certainly it's going to be a long time to not be out in this beautiful spring weather. What I'm going to invite you to do is learn to go with the flow. And it so much speaks to what we're going to be talking about with this full moon energy. For instance, say that you're trying to work on your computer and it's just not cooperating. Rather than, going crazy, getting frustrated, go outside, take a little bit of a breath break. Even if the weather isn't terrific, if it's raining, all the better. Get into your playful side. Have things to do when the appliances that you rely on, the devices that you are relying on, are not working as you would have them work. One of the things we want to keep in mind with this energy is to always have like a backup plan with our things. It's a great time for revisiting old projects, not a great time for starting new projects. People that really follow astrology won't sign contracts when Mercury is in retrograde, won't start new projects on their home, redecorating. They wait until things are more favorable, astrologically speaking. So you want to keep that in mind. However, if there's a project that you've been putting on hold that you've started and you want to revisit, this would be a wonderful time to do it. So the key here is to be as flexible as you possibly can. And remember, it is all about intention. So Mercury in retrograde will impact us as much as we believe it will impact us. So keep that in mind. But I always think, because we're talking energy and it's important that we understand how these energies impact us, it's always good to have some tips. And as we're talking about going with the flow, let's discuss what we have going on with this full moon. The full moon that's happening now into tomorrow is often referred to as a pink moon, and it has nothing to do with the color. What it does have to do with is the spring and the plethora of pink flowers that happen at this time of year. And the Native Americans, because of that and because everything was blooming, would call this the pink moon. So it's part of, the beauty that hopefully we're going to beginning to start seeing. I have all my windows open and it's very summer-like here where I am. So hopefully you're experiencing some springtime weather as well. So when we're thinking about this moon energy, what sign is it in? Well, it's in Libra, and Libra is an air sign. So it's all about aligning the mental and the emotional. Now keep in mind, when we have a full moon, the sun is directly behind the moon. Thus, the sun is lighting up the moon. Okay, that's the way it works. Well, what's always interesting about a full moon is that the light is illuminating the dark. So if you have a shadow side that maybe you've kind of been working on healing or keeping at bay, full moon is a great time to look at that aspect of your personality that maybe you would like to release. New moon is about setting intentions, new things. Full moon is about releasing and about letting go. And again, with it being in this air sign of Libra, what we're being invited to do is really look at our relationships and look at how we can bring ourselves, without compromising ourselves too much, into our relationships. Now, if you watched my new moon in Aries a few weeks ago, you knew that it was about an inward journey. Aries, the fire sign, was really inviting us to fall in love with ourselves, to go inward. Well, maybe if you had some aha moments on that journey, then what you would be doing now is taking what you have looked at in yourself and now bringing this out into the world. Because this full moon is asking us to really make some peace with our relationships. As we were talking about Mercury in retrograde, it's a wonderful time to maybe, if you have like any kind of a disagreement with somebody, maybe clearing the air. And this full moon is asking us to do this as well, to take a look at our relationships, and maybe something came up that you had a disagreement of some kind. It would be a wonderful time to really revisit this relationship and maybe make peace with these people that you might be a little bit on the outs with. Now, the one thing I would say is don't send an email, because with Mercury being in retrograde, what we want to do is maybe pick up a landline and do something along those lines. So really, with this energy, Jupiter playing a big part, the caution here is to make sure you're not overthinking things. It's definitely going to be a full moon that's going to be calling on us to really get clarity and really do some thinking. But we don't want to take it to such an extent that we're overthinking everything. We want to just make sure that we are illuminating with the beautiful light that's coming in, illuminating what we would like to really focus on in this part of our life, and releasing the things that we don't want to really have with us anymore. And remember, whenever we're talking about releasing, we're staying out of judgment. We don't want to start our self-talk being in such a way that we're kind of beating ourselves up for not being perfect. Okay, there's your little air quotes, because we all know that we're perfect, whole, and complete exactly the way we are at this very moment. But when we talk about releasing those aspects of ourselves that we would like to really like to let go of, to enhance where we are spiritually, emotionally, because we grow, and it's just the same way that you outgrow training wheels on a bike when you no longer need them. So anything right now that you really can look at to release, it would be a wonderful time to do so with this brilliant full moon. Now, one of the things that I would recommend is to make sure that you've got a journal by your bed, because I would be willing to bet in the next few nights you're going to have some really vivid dreams. So take notes on those dreams, and remember that the best dream interpreter is you. And even if you're having, breakfast with the Dalai Lama and Marilyn Monroe, and it makes no sense to you at the time, just keep in mind that it can really make sense to you down the road, and you might understand, wow, Marilyn's reminding me to step out, and the Dalai Lama is reminding me that this is part of my spiritual life purpose. So you can find meanings in those dreams maybe later on. So if you jot them down as soon as you wake up, it will really assist you. And I'm really feeling very called to say this too. Remember that if you have a really vivid dream and a deceased loved one comes in that dream, just keep in mind that that is a visitation. When it's so lifelike that you feel like that person is actually right there, it's that your deceased loved one stopping in to say hello. And I think, I know there's people out there that are celebrating Passover and people that are celebrating Easter this Sunday. And what happens this time, anytime we have holidays, we tend to think about the people that aren't with us anymore. So again, going into meditation, setting an intention you'd like to meet with them in dream time, or inviting them into your meditation. And now we've got this luminous full moon that's really encouraging us to really have these relationships, even with the people that are no longer with us physically. So wonderful, wonderful time for relationships, and it's really packing a punch. So if you're having some problems sleeping or whatever, I would say just go with the flow with it. Again, just like with Mercury in retrograde, this full moon is calling on us to be flexible. Let it go and go with the flow. So that's going to be my mantra for the next 9 days. As a matter of fact, I have a little sticky on my computer that I always have there that says let it go, because speaking of getting frustrated with things, especially technical things, I can really get like that. So I have learned the best thing for me to do is push away from the computer and just take a little walk, or like I said, a breath break, and take a couple nice deep cleansing breaths. So full moon in Aries, full moon in Libra, that being an air sign. Now, some of the other things that you can do in this energy is to clear your crystals. And as I do with these broadcasts, I've selected a crystal that I would like to recommend for you right now. And I love this beautiful heart shape, and this is a carnelian. And carnelian is very much about self-esteem. It's also about creativity. So getting back to that project that might be stalled right now, bring in some carnelian. It might really jumpstart your creativity. I love that it's in a heart shape, because this is so much about bringing that beautiful energy back to ourselves. And this also is very closely associated with the sacral chakra. Now, the sacral chakra, that beautiful spinning disc of energy in our energetic body, is about 6 inches above the root chakra, the red chakra, at the base of the spine. And the sacral, also sometimes called the sexual chakra, is very much what we go to give birth to ourselves, to create. If you've got a project that, again, is looking to be born, what you want to do is maybe just hold off a bit. You can certainly go into meditation, get some ideas, but you really want to take some time to really allow yourself to get into a better energy. So again, be flexible with things, but also give yourself permission to just kind of go with all of this. Again, it's just started for me, and I've had a couple things come up, and I just keep on saying, okay, I'm going to just kind of release and let this go. So that's the best way to handle it. Carnelian is the stone I'm recommending. Okay. And it's so funny, because I did know that I wanted to work with Archangel Raguel, because Archangel Raguel is a great angel to call when you want to help with disputes, world peace, anything to do with friendships and things. Archangel Raguel can come in. And I picked this card, like I said, I selected it. It wasn't random. But what I think is so interesting is, speaking about Libra, is right up here we see how we have those balanced things that, and now of course the words escape me, but they're holding like the balance of justice, that Archangel Raguel is holding on to this. And divine order is what Raguel is reminding us about. And let me just read to you what this card says. This card says that everything is how it needs to be right now. Look past the illusion and see underlying order. So even right now, if you're feeling like everything is chaotic and just, you've got this blast of energy coming from the full moon, and then you've got all this going on with Mercury in retrograde, Archangel Raguel is letting you know that everything is happening exactly the way it should. It's like being on a boat and you're paddling upstream. It's time to let go of the paddle and let yourself just go downstream. You don't need to work so hard. You don't need to paddle so hard. The color associated with Archangel Raguel is like an aqua blue color. So if you're ever seeing flashes of that, he could be making his presence known. And as we know with the angels, we call them when we want their assistance. And they're neither male or female. As a matter of fact, I think Raguel in this picture is almost depicted more feminine, which I find interesting, because I always picture Archangel Raguel as more masculine in nature. So divine order, call on Raguel to help as you're maybe trying to straighten out some disagreements, holding on to that Libra balance, keeping everything in balance. the symbols of justice even here. So, Archangel Raguel. The essence that I would like to recommend and navigate this energy is lavender. And lavender just is wonderful for helping you get to sleep. It's wonderful, really very calming, very relaxing. So if you're looking in the market for an essential oil, try some lavender. I always recommend whatever essential oil that you're just thinking about buying to just kind of wave it under your nose and see if it resonates with you. If you're waving it under your nose and it really doesn't agree with you, then it's certainly not going to make you calm. And again, it's just like dream interpretation. It's like the crystals. If they don't resonate with you, if the crystals do not resonate with you, if this does not resonate with you, the beautiful lavender essence, then look for something else. Smell something until you feel relaxed. Like I said, your nose knows. That's what I always say when you're selecting an essential oil. And then last but not least, the flower that I'm recommending is the tulip, because the tulip is very much associated with Archangel Raguel. And also, what better symbol of springtime is there than the tulip? And you know that if you've listened to me in any of my broadcasts, that I am a big proponent of fresh flowers. And you know, while we're doing this, I guess I should probably introduce myself. I'm supposing most of you tuning in know who I am, but my name is Susan Dintino, and I am a Hay House author. The name of my book is Songs of My Life, Slightly Out of Tune, and as the title suggests, it's a humorous approach to all the different things that I've learned thus far in my life. So we're getting to beach weather. If you're looking for a book where you can open it up to any page and have a good laugh and learn maybe a thing or two along the way, I invite you to definitely check it out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I also do readings, which are all available on my website, which is my name, SusanDintino.com, along with some meditation CDs, my empowering meditation technique is described there, and also my upcoming events. So if I'm going to be anywhere in your neck of the woods, right now my schedule's kind of quiet, but I'm always looking for opportunities to do book signings, to teach. So please, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You never know when I might be in your neck of the woods. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to be going to the Healing with the Fairy cards, and I'm going to take a look at some of the comments that I see coming up. And I figured like we could call on the fairy energy, because I feel like maybe we could really lighten up a little bit, and the fairies are going to remind us to play. And with everything going on with the full moon and with these Mercury Retrograde issues, having some fun with it might really be a good idea. So I'm going to scroll through and see if yes, and Maria's saying that she loves having a nice batch of fresh flowers, and that's what made me think to discuss my book, because I do talk about having fresh flowers and how important that is. I think that every time I look at fresh flowers in my home, it makes me feel like, okay, you deserve this. And now it can be so affordable, and it's such a great energy to have that fresh flowers. I always resist. I have many beautiful flowers around my home here, but I always resist cutting my flowers here. I just feel like they're for outside, but I have no problem buying flowers that have already been cut. So I invite you to do that. And actually, I talk about this in one of the chapters of Songs of My Life called Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. So that'll give you a little bit of an idea. So Maria, thank you for that comment. Okay, Amy, she's saying, yay, fairies, do you have any information for me? So as long as that seems to be the first thing I'm seeing, let's pull a fairy card for you. See who comes in. Breaking free. And now what we're going to find, and I want to remind everybody that I will be following up on this topic and also doing free readings. Keep in mind that with Facebook Live, they kind of revert these. So I'll be doing these tomorrow on my radio show, The Night Shift with Susan Dintino. It's on 7 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY.com. So Amy, what I'm seeing around you breaking free is I think this energy is really going to be good for you. I think that you've gone through a bit of a transition time, and this Libra energy and this full moon energy is so much about transitions. It's really, really giving us a punch energetically to really move. So this beautiful fairy has come in, and we've got this beautiful purple color. Oh my gosh, and of course I couldn't plan this better. There's a full moon up in the corner of it, and I feel like this fairy is totally letting go, reminding you. The purple color is suggesting to me that there might be some things that you need to let go of forgiveness-wise, and I feel it has to do with self-forgiveness. So Amy, just be a little bit cautious if you tend to be really hard on yourself. You know, we're really thinking that now it's not about beating ourselves up for the things that we perceive as being imperfect. It's more about embracing that part of ourselves. So breaking free, Amy, I think this is going to be a good time for you. I feel that these wings are going to be really kind of moving forward in the spring, but I'm really seeing a strong summer connection for you. So if there's something that you've been planning, I'm getting travel around this, you're going to have a fun summer. So really let go, and thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. Okay, Karen, and like I said, for some of you that posted in the beginning, I will scroll through and see if I can pick some of these up. I'm kind of catching these has been Karen, and then I will jump to Melissa. So when we do these readings, we call these mini readings. We're not getting into too much depth. Obviously, we're doing a one-card pull, and I try and get to as many of you as I can because I so appreciate you tuning in. But if you're looking for something more in depth, like I said, I do offer full readings. 15 minutes is the least amount of time, up to an hour. You can do video readings with me where you can actually see the cards being pulled. As I said, all that information is on my website. So let me just double check here. So Karen, okay. So Karen, let's see who comes up for you. Financial flow. Okay, Karen, we've got a beautiful sun here, and this so much reminds me of abundance. Abundance that is everlasting. It almost reminds me of that figure 8 infinity sign. So I feel not only is this about financial flow, but I feel like abundance is coming into your lives in all areas. This brilliant sun, to me, is reminding you to be open to receiving, so that when these blessings are coming your way, that you accept them. Now, what do I mean by that? What I often find, especially many people that are on a strong metaphysical path, is they almost feel like they're not supposed to receive anything, that it's all about, giving, giving, giving. And as I always say, that's a wonderful thing, but if you continuously give without receiving, first of all, you're denying somebody else the pleasure of giving to you, and second of all, in order to refill what you're giving, you've got to be willing to receive. And I always suggest to people, how do you receive a compliment? Can you just say yes? Can you just say thank you without making an excuse? You look great today. Oh, not in this old dress or something like that. Rather than just saying thank you. Just like no is a complete sentence. Thank you for something that's been given. A compliment can definitely open up your heart to receiving. So this is all about you really receiving right now, and things are going to come your way. I also feel you might want to check in as we're talking about releasing. Do you find there's any maybe deserve issues that you might be dealing with right now, that when good things seem to be happening, you take a step back and say, oh, this is almost too good to be true, cancel, delete? We know we're not going to put that out there, because everything that's going on is exactly what you deserve, and exactly what, as far as good things go, what you deserve to bring in. So just know that all of the best is waiting for you. So let me see how far I can go back here. This can sometimes not be super okay, I see. Okay, let me, scales of justice. Thank you, Heather. As I can see, okay, as I can see, everybody's kind of going crazy here. Thank you for the compliments. I'm glad you're here. Okay, here we have Zoe. Okay, I'm getting pretty good at doing these multitasking things. For those of you that can see what I have going on back here, and the brilliant light is a window actually, and the beautiful flowers, those are my favorite flowers that are painted around my window. They're stargazer lilies, and I actually have white ones in the house. I love their fragrance. And this and the two pictures were all painted by my daughter, Gina Heron. So I get to display her work. And last time when I did this at night, it was just getting so dark. So I figured I better leave that open so that I can see throughout this broadcast. But I love those flowers, love the energy of them. See, real or painted, I enjoy them very much. You can see my beautiful cinnamon crystal back there, my crystal ball. I have a story about that crystal ball. I had that crystal ball in Buffalo, and it was sitting on a desk where the sunlight was coming in very strongly. And I had leaned an invitation up against the crystal ball, and I was walking around doing things downstairs, and all of a sudden I started smelling smoke. And I said to my husband, "Do you smell something burning?" And he goes, "You know what? Yeah, I do." So, we're walking around and, trying to figure it out. We go upstairs, we rule out the oven, go upstairs, and all of a sudden I see this card was like in flames. Luckily, we had just caught it because it had started smoking, leaning up against that crystal ball. So I immediately took it away from the window. I brought it here where it's not too close to a window. So, okay, Zoe, you're probably saying, when is she going to stop talking and pull my fairy card? Okay. Quiet time. Okay, Zoe, what I am getting with this is that your fairies are just suggesting that maybe it's time for some contemplation, maybe it's time for some meditation. You're being invited to refill your energy with getting in some quiet time. If it is at all possible for you to be outdoors, and even if the moon is not showing, you will still feel the energy of the moon. So to get outdoors right now and just sit, and just the way you would bask in sunlight, bask in this moonlight, allow this energy to just really infuse each and every cell, and just be. You don't have to do anything, just be. So this card, Zoe, is inviting you for some quiet time. And I really feel like for you, this is well needed. Sometimes we get so caught up again in the hustle bustle of everything that's going on around us. And we don't realize how important it is that we just take a step back and really breathe. So often when I'm doing readings, I will immediately get a picture of somebody that's sitting like this. I mean, how many of us out there wear our shoulders like our earrings? So the first thing I'll do is, before I even start the reading, is I will just say, okay, let's take a couple deep breaths. Let's bring those shoulders down back where they belong. Pay attention to where your shoulders are, because that's a good indicator of how you're breathing. And now I know there's apps on a couple of the new watches where you can actually breathe, and a beautiful graphic comes up and you can take a 2-minute breath break. It's one of the most beneficial things that you can do. So I invite you to try that. So Zoe, it's about some quiet time. So I leave that with you. Let's see who else we have here. Okay. Okay, Monica. And Monica's been thinking of leaving her job for something else. Not sure what or where. Okay, so what we're going to do, and again, with Mercury being in retrograde, I would say that it might not be a great time to make a decision about starting something new, okay? Like quitting one to go into another. However, it's a great time for that introspection. And I believe that this is something that you've been thinking about prior to Mercury being in retrograde. So it would be something that you would be revisiting. And I really feel, again, as we're really holding on to this Libra energy, which is really inviting us to compromise and see both sides of things, to really take the time to weigh everything. And when you're thinking about changing jobs, it's not the way it used to be, where your job was, drudgery and it was something you did just to earn money. Now there's no reason why you cannot enjoy everything that you're doing and really just have it be passionate. So you want to jump out of bed every day. I know it's so interesting because I've had people ask me, like, when are you going to retire? And it's just so crazy for me because this to me is a joy. Everything that I do is a joy right now. I don't consider this to be anything that I'm doing, certainly to put food on the table. Well, let's put it this way. I I probably wouldn't have to worry at all about my weight. That's for sure. So, I mean, it's so much more about my love of just what I do. So I would just invite you, as you're considering this, Monica, to make sure that you step into something that you truly enjoy. So you want to make sure you're running to something, not running away from something. So let's see what card comes up for you. Feeling safe. And look at this beautiful fairy. So I think, now what does this have to do with it? Well, whenever we're thinking about making any kind of changes, any kind of transition, it's always about really taking a risk. It's about really taking that leap of faith. And what this card is saying is that you're safe. You're safe in that no matter what you choose, and I'm really seeing around you energetically, you're an old soul. And the idea that you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do is because what I'm seeing around you is that it's almost like you can't make a mistake. It's like you're at a beautiful buffet table of all the foods that you truly and completely enjoy. And no matter what you choose, you're going to enjoy it. The key here is what I was saying before. Just make sure that you're choosing for the right reasons, and make sure you're following your own intuitive advice. We can do logic, and it certainly can help, but I say this all the time, that right now if you're operating just from your five senses, you're at a decided disadvantage. So you really want to make sure that you are going intuitively to help you make your decisions. And I feel you're very clairsentient, which means you get strong feelings about things as you're pursuing the options of this employment. And I do see you changing jobs. I'm seeing a lot of sixes around this. So I'm going to say within the next 6 months. Now remember, time is relative, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to take that long, but I'm feeling that it's going to be around there. And just know that whatever you decide, you're going to be safe. This is the fairies coming in. And again, we see almost like a Mother Mary fairy, so to speak. That's the vibe I get from this card, is a very strong Mother Mary presence. Not sure if this is somebody you work with, but I'm definitely feeling it. And then the beautiful butterfly wings, which is all about transformation, transition. So leaving this with you, and it's all going to be okay. So know that you're safe. Okay, let's see. Let's just see what else we have here. Okay, so I'm going to go to maybe maybe that's the way you pronounce it, M-A-B-E, and if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, please, I apologize. And I'm going to give you a fairy message. I hope that that's okay for you, because I'm using fairy cards today, and I'm actually going to be using the same deck tomorrow on my show for the reasons that I said before. I really think it's so important that we just lighten up and just get ready. If you are somebody that has the Easter Bunny tradition, that you get ready for the colored eggs and the Easter Bunny coming, whatever holiday you're celebrating, to get into the joy of it. So this is why. So hopefully you won't be too disappointed as we go to this deck versus the angel deck. So let's see the card that we pulled. Creative expression. Now, I know often people will ask me why I select the cards that I do. What I really like about this deck is, even though there's a brief explanation, usually just a word or 2 words, there's so much that you can get from this card. Okay, so what do I mean? Well, the first thing I see is the predominant blue color, okay? So this probably has a lot to do with, I'm feeling this has a lot to do with your guardian angel, and a color that your guardian angel uses to really present herself to you. And she's coming in to remind you, I feel that there's something that you would like to do creatively. And while we have all of this yellow in the background, yellow is all about being in your power. So this fairy is kind of trying to make up her mind, what is it she would like to do. What I feel also is coming across here is a bit of procrastination. So I feel like there is a creative idea you have that maybe you've put on the back burner. And again, this is a time to revisit it. This is a time to look at it. So this, and I believe, let's see. Yes, all these little yellow images up there, they're all butterflies. So total transformation, transitional time. So I think that maybe the contemplative time is over. It's time for you to start moving forward with your own creative expression and moving forward into what it is exactly that you would like to do. So I leave this with you, and really get going with that creative idea. And remember, there's no reason why. Pull out the carnelian. Here we go. For those of you that might have just joined, carnelian was the crystal that I recommended. Pull that out, put it by your workplace, and just encourage you to do some writing and get out there and just enjoy what it is that you do and allow yourself to creatively express. Okay, Ruth. Okay, you would love a one-card pull. So while one of the things too about this, as we look at the crystals and things, one of the things I want to remind you is that full moon energy is a wonderful time to charge your crystals. So whether you have got new crystals, or maybe crystals you've used, or maybe you're one and only crystal, you're going to go out and buy your crystal, putting it in the new moon energy really infuses that crystal with that energy that is just so brilliant and so helpful when you're using the stone for whatever purpose you decide. And one of the things that I want to mention here is, say you do select a stone that has very specific properties and it's supposed to be for X, Y, and Z. And you hold that stone and you think, I always use rose quartz as an example because that's my favorite stone. And rose quartz is not a stone typically known for protection. It's very much known for self-love and, you know, more of a romantic stone. I always look at it as being a romantic stone, falling in love with yourself. But for me, it's a very strong protection stone. And although you'd never see it in that stone's description, that's how I feel. When I'm wearing rose quartz, I feel very protected. So keep that in mind when you're selecting a crystal. If carnelian you go and it's not really your favorite and you're drawn to selenite or angelite, quartz, something along those lines, then know that that's fine and that's perfect for you. But again, this is a great time to put those stones out. Also your oracle cards, if you have oracle decks and you want to charge them, anything like that you want to infuse with energy. And remember, we're talking about this full moon being at the height right now, but it's also, you can still get the benefits yesterday, you can get it tomorrow, you can still get the benefits of that full moon energy. So it doesn't have to be exact. So keep that in mind. So let's just see, Ruth, what card comes up for you. You know what? And the same card came up as creative expression. And so what I'm going to do, Ruth, is because I described this card pretty well, I'm going to pull another card for you. Romantic partner. Whoa, look at this dashing fairy. Now, this can mean one of two things. It can mean that either there's somebody new coming in, or it can mean that the romance that you now have, the significant other that you now have, is going to amp up in the romance department. I love the wings, and to me those wings are very almost like a masculine type of wing, and certainly this fairy seems very masculine, but very interesting that you would pull a creative expression card and this romantic partner card. And I'm almost feeling this has to do more with somebody new coming in, Ruth, versus somebody that's in your life now. But again, sometimes it can just be somebody that's going to put on a new set of clothes, so to speak, and become more of a romantic. So I leave this with you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So we see again about how these cards can be interpreted in so many different ways. Not in this deck, but in the other fairy deck that I use, messages from your fairies. There's a pregnancy card in there, and often I will pull that pregnancy card, and my client will go, oh my gosh, you know. Now again, there's a little pregnant fairy on that card, but what this card can also mean is new ideas, giving birth to yourself. Maybe you're personally going through some type of a transition. So remember, especially if you're reading for yourself, you have your own oracle cards, just take some time with it. When you pull a card that seems to make no sense to the question that you asked, take some time to get to the bottom of it. Look at the images. If there's a number on the card, does the number mean something to you? Do the colors mean something to you? It can always be, again, like this romantic partner, it might not make any sense. It could be about you developing a romance with yourself. Like I said, intuitively, I feel like this is signifying somebody new coming in, and I am just getting so many hearts and flowers around these coming summer months. So I think many of you out there that have been looking for the right person to come in, I really feel the universe is going to be providing you with that Mr. or Mrs. Right. And just make sure, again, as we're talking about opening to receive, make sure that you release any old relationships that might be hindering you. You know, those relationships that didn't work, and this is where I feel that soulmates come into our lives. Not just one particular person that is just absolutely perfect. I feel that soulmates come into our lives because we need to learn something. So even from our exes, they're soulmates, and they come and they go. It can be friendships that can be soulmates that can come and go. It can be people that are particularly challenging that can actually be soulmates, because it's all about growth. So when you're in this, if you are looking for a new romantic relationship, remember to release the old relationship. Okay? So again, cut your cords. I release you with love and light. You know, those energetic cords, it's all intention. I release you and let you go. And just allow this person that is no longer a part of your romantic life to just kind of go. And this is especially important if there's any kind of forgiveness that needs to be done. Again, remember, this full moon in Libra is all about releasing and letting go. So again, if you're looking for a new relationship, you got to clear out the old. Just keep that in mind as well. Okay, let's see what else we have going on here. Okay, Gia is looking for a reading about career and health. Okay, Gia, I'd be happy to do a career reading for you. And I can see now as it's starting to get a little bit dark up here, I guess my lighting, I keep on touching my computer, so I'm getting because what my computer screensaver is all different pictures that come up. So if you see me go dark and then go light, it's because I'm touching my bar so that the light comes back on. I'm going to have to remember to turn lights on. I don't have my air conditioning on. Now, my family's all coming in for Easter, and they're all going to be going crazy, because I'm not kidding you. It's like 82 in the house, but I love the windows open. I love to hear the birds and hear the rustle of the pines, so I don't put my air on until it's absolutely necessary. So this is why I don't remember to put the lights on either before I'm doing a reading. So, G, I'll be happy to talk to you a little bit about career. I'm not a medical intuitive, so I shy away from health questions. So we're gonna take a look at career for you. Shuffle, shuffle. I'm mixing these up really well. Look inside yourself. Now, what I think is really interesting about this card, especially because you were asking about health, is the green in this card. Green is all about healing. Green is also tied into the heart chakra. And looking at you energetically, G, I do see a lot of green in your auric field, which is telling me that you're healing. Remember to call Archangel Raphael to help with any healing that you really could use some assistance with right now. Now, look inside yourself. Here's a great example. What does this have to do with career change? Again, I think so many people out there that are really looking into their life purpose, asking the big questions. Why am I here? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? I think really often, and especially with this energy, we're going to be really tempted to knee-jerk our decisions. And it's not time for that. It's time for discernment. So when we're calling on looking inside, it goes back to what I said to one of the other readings I did a bit earlier. This is so much about you really asking yourself, what is it that's going to make me really happy? What makes my heart sing, as Wayne Dyer always used to say. You always want to make sure that what it is that you're doing brings you happiness. And especially when we do talk about, health challenges and things that come up, often if we're in a career that does not bring us joy, does not bring us happiness, that each and every day we dread going to work, often what will happen is that stress, and I don't have to be a medical intuitive to talk about that, the stress will definitely impact us physically. So it's really a time, this card has come in, Gia, to just remind you to look inside and ask yourself, if you had a magic wand, we've got the fairies with us, why not? If you had a magic wand and could create the perfect job for yourself, what is it that you would do? What is it that you would do? So it's a time for you now to look inward and ask yourself that. Okay, since I am now quickly losing my light, I'm going to take one more question. And I will end with Sharon. Just a reminder that I am going to be doing this topic again, as I said, on my radio show, The Night Shift with Susan Dentino. I also have a very active Facebook chat room that works not quite as fast as this, so I can stay a little bit in control of it, where I'll take your questions. We are going to be talking about this topic a little bit more, Mercury Retrograde and the full moon in Libra. And again, going to the fairies, because I just think now is a great time to talk to them. So certainly join me. You can join the group, The Night Shift. Just go on to Facebook, put in The Night Shift with Susan Dentino. It's a closed group, so I'll invite you in. And then the show is broadcast on internet radio on www.w4cy.com. And all that information is on my website, which again is my name, Susan Dentino. So I'm going to end with one card for Sharon. Okay, and because after all that shuffling I pulled quiet time, Sharon, I am going to pull another card for you as well. Positive expectations. Okay, so we've got quiet time, and we heard what I had to say about that a little bit earlier. Now we've got, let's see if you can see this, quiet expectations. I just think, positive expectations rather, I just think this is such a powerful card to end with, and I'm so glad that we pulled this. Okay, so first of all, we see this fairy who's got a very strong, again, butterfly wing, all about transformation. And it's so interesting because she's totally in the dark. We just see this outline with this very brief kind of lighting on her. I think this is so indicative of this light that we've got coming in right now from that full moon energy. And what this card is reminding us is about the positive expectations. And again, we all know about the power of positive thinking, putting our intentions, setting our intentions, just like I wanted to really remind everybody not to get too caught up in this Mercury retrograde, because we know, that if we start focusing on it and thinking that everything in our house is going to break down, guess what? We'll be creating that. So we always want to be positive, be mindful of the energy that's around us to give us, knowledge is always power, right? So we're going to be mindful about the energy that's around us to make sure that we know the best way, as I said right in the beginning, to navigate it. But that being said, we also know that the universe listens to us. It responds to our expectations, to our positive thoughts. So this is about you receiving, Sharon. This fairy's got her palm up and she is receiving. This is your time. So I feel like you've been doing some manifesting, and although things might seem like they're coming a bit slowly for you, this is very much a time of you receiving. Make sure you're open on all channels to allow that positive energy to come in. So, perfect card to end with. And as I said, if you would like to have the time, I invite you to join me tomorrow on my radio show. I do this as close as I can to every full moon and every new moon. So I want to say it's April, I think it's either April 27th or 28th. I will be broadcasting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook Live, and we'll be talking about that new moon energy. If you just tuned in, I will get this up on my YouTube channel, which is susandentino.com, as soon as I can get it downloaded. So you can visit it there, or if you got a reading and you want to listen to it again, please visit there. It'll be up on my Facebook page for a while as well. I want to thank each and every one of you. I know your time is valuable, and I really appreciate that you took the time out to spend some time with me. So I wish you, whatever holiday you might be celebrating, a happy spring, and just really enjoy the moment. Blessings to you, and I'll see you at the new moon. Good night now.